If your child struggles with focus, emotional ups and downs, irritability, anxiety, well, there's a good chance they're missing this one key nutrient. And no, it's not another trendy supplement or a magic pill. This science backed brain essential nutrient is something that most kids just aren't getting enough of. And guess what? When you take it, it can make a massive difference in how your child feels, actually, and how you feel and behave and function every day. And of course, it's my favorite nutrient. It's the most used nutrient in the body. It's magnesium. So, we're going to dive into magnesium, understand what you need to look for in terms of signs that your child might be low. We're going to talk about why diet isn't enough and the best forms. When we're talking about magnesium, if you haven't listened or watched any of the episodes on it, please do. Just know when I mean it's the most essential nutrient in the body, 3 to 600 chemical processes require it as a cofactor. So for brain health, physical health, it is the workhorse. It loves to team up with vitamin D, another essential nutrient that isn't typically we are low in both of these. And so here we have it. More individuals with anxiety, focus issues. I have so many great stories. Recently, I had somebody that couldn't believe how different their child's level of anxiety was just by adding magnesium, that this girl was not available mentally, in her body. She wasn't available to actually do deeper therapy work despite having a good therapist, by the way. She messaged me and I was like, "You need magnesium, check with your doctor." And is always doing these things. You want to check with your provider. But she added it and I didn't hear from her. And I'm like, "What's going on?" And about a month later, she reached out and just said it was a night and day difference. And clearly, as mom said, she was deficient. And, this is the power of magnesium. It helps to regulate neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin. These aren't just feel good neurotransmitters. We need them for attention, stress levels. It balances the nervous system, supports calm and regulation. It actually deepens your sleep cycles, right? And we know how important sleep is, and we're not always getting the quality, and then it's going to help mitigate your mood and stress responses because when your neurotransmitters working properly, when your nervous system is in that relaxed parasympathetic state, which magnesium helps, and then just the overall function of your brain and body is working better and you're sleeping better, your mood, your attention, your stress levels are going to be lower. Most adults and kids are deficient, and a lot of it has to do with diet and gut issues. What are signs potentially that your child could be low in magnesium? Well, one, first of all, you can have their levels tested. But even if you tested the levels, it's something that we're using all the time. You might be normal or low, and then you adjust. This is a forever nutrient. Magnesium is something you want to take, and you want to take a brain magnesium. We'll dive into that. But if your kid is having focus issues, trouble sitting still, they're having mood issues or explosive behavior or irritability or anxiety, restless sleep, restless legs, waking up too much, nail biting, twitching, physical body tightness. These all could be signs that they're low in magnesium. The cool part is, even though most kids are deficient in magnesium, when you give the brain what it needs, amazing things happen. That's the cool part about magnesium. It's kind of an easy win. So, why isn't diet alone enough? Like, we are super healthy eaters, the Hodges, right? We don't have dairy, we don't have gluten, we've minimal sugar, we eat a lot of high quality vegetables, meats, fats, and fruit. I got roast beefs cooking and asparagus cooking in the oven, right? And then, yesterday we had something totally different, but always a lot of meats, proteins, and veggies. And again, a variety because it's important to get nutrients, right? You're supposed to have, for proper gut health, you're supposed to eat about 20 different forms of vegetables a week. And you're like, what? But that could be different forms of garlic and onion, and you have to make a conscious effort. One of the main reasons why kids are deficient is they're not eating foods typically that are high in magnesium, like leafy greens, seeds, beans. These aren't what typical kids eat. If you're like me and you're first generation American, we were eating these things because they were very cultural foods. The American foods, the SAD diet, the standard American diet, is deficient in these things. Particularly green leafy vegetables are just so powerhouses, and kids don't really like them. You have to kind of sneak them in. We have stress. We have a lot of processed foods. We have gut issues. Medications like ADD medications and anxiety medications deplete magnesium. That's often why, just so you know, when you take your meds, sometimes people get relief in the beginning and then there's a downward spiral. So they'll deplete magnesium levels and they'll destroy the microbiome. So just something to think on. And stress nervous systems will deplete your magnesium because the magnesium will work very hard to support you. That's why when you add it in, it's such a quick win because you're in such a stress state. It will help bring relief. Supplementation is often necessary because of these things. And then not all forms are created equal, right? So you've heard me talk in my other episodes about brain magnesiums, right? In our multi-mag brain formula, neurotastic multi-mag brain formula, we have the best forms from the brain, right? That's L-threonate, glycinate, and malate. L-threonate crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it's best for cognitive functioning, attention. Everyone always wants to know when they should take it. Go and listen to the episode about when you should take it. But we always recommend that you take ours at night. I have other people taking it during the day. 80% of people, you're going to take it at night because it has such a calming effect. Again, because it's deepening sleep, you will have improved sleep and thereby your focus will be better. So we have magnesium glycinate. We have the most bioavailable form of magnesium glycinate in ours. There are other forms, and it's great for mood, anxiety, and sleep. And we have malate. And malate supports energy, the muscles, but also supports muscle relaxation. And most have magnesium oxide, which is poorly absorbed. It's a cheap form. That's why it's in everything. It's the most inexpensive. And it does help with pooping. These are the least known forms to bother your stomach. And that's one of the only things magnesium on the negative can do is it can lead to loose stools. But magnesium oxide, when you take too much of it, leads to stomach upset, right? So we don't put it in ours, right? And whatever you're using, when it's our brand, we always recommend starting low and slow because it really is very potent. Like we have the highest levels that we can put in here. You have an ability to dose it correctly because it's a powder form, and so you can control, the dosing by age and what you need. Some people like me, I take double of what I'm supposed to take because I need a lot of magnesium. I have a lot of exciting things going on. You want to use it consistently. You want to use it every night. It takes time to rebuild your magnesium stores within the body. And again, because it's a workhorse and it's doing so much, it just is needed. And there's times when you want to take more of it too, when you're under a stressful period, or if you have a menstrual cycle, you're supposed to double up the week before. That really can be incredibly helpful for PMDD and just to prevent, the fatigue and cramping. I learned that from my friend, Dr. Rita Marie Lascalzo. You also can combine it with other calming strategies like our Calm PEMF, breath work, meditation, prayer. I love to take my magnesium at night and do some PEMF and then do some gentle exercises and stretches before I go to bed because I tend to hold a lot of stress within my body. Good stress, bad stress gets held. And you always want to look for clean formulas. Like ours is incredibly clean. If you recall the episode where I brought MD Logic, my co-brand, and we test it before it even gets into the lab, which is highly unusual. So it's tested after, which is required, but it's not required to test it before because I was so concerned, and they are too, about things like mold and product being what it's supposed to be. That's why the quality. So if your kid is struggling, struggling with mood and focus, sleep, magnesium might be your missing piece. You always want to check your provider. This is exactly why I created the Neurotastic Multi-Mag Brain formula. It's the same formula I recommend to my patients. I actually developed it because I couldn't find one that I liked, and there wasn't a family one on the market. But it's the same one my boys take, including Mr. Hodge, and I trust it. So if you're interested in learning more about magnesium, go to drroseann.com/magnesium and get started today. As I always say, it's a quick win, and you can start regulating on day one when you take our multi-mag brain formula.